What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, YouTube exclusive look ahead to week 11 of the NFL season. We're going to take a look at the lines. Will Brinson and John Breech breaking it all down for you. Breech, we will start as we always do with these look aheads. And by the way, didn't we nail some game that went way over the total last week?
Way over
the total. Didn't we nail? I think we nailed something. We crushed it. Let's crush it again. Cardinals at Seahawks on Thursday night. The Seahawks -4 coming off a stinging loss to the Los Angeles Rams. There's a three-way tie after the Hail Murray touchdown to DeAndre Hopkins to beat the Bills in a craziest finish of the season by the Cardinals. The over-under here, a ridiculous 57 points. What do you think here out of the gate?
I don't know what we should call this thing. The Hail Murray, the miracle from Murray. There's a lot of options right now, and I don't think that over-under can get high enough. If it hits
Murrayappolis miracle?
I like the Murrayappolis miracle, Brinson. Write that one down and get that trademarked. I don't think this over-under can get high enough. That's the first thing I'm going to say. Remember when these two teams played back in week 5? There was no defense. The Cardinals won 37-34. I think that's exactly what we're going to see in this game. And you know what? I think the Seahawks are going to go in. They're going to have a chip on their shoulder. They've lost 2 straight. You really don't want to fall and see your season kind of spiral out of control, which I think is going to happen if they lose a 3rd straight game. It's been getting pretty ugly. So I am going to say, as crazy as this sounds, because the Seahawks have been such a rut, I actually like Seattle to cover here.
I'm on the opposite side of you. I think that if you could take any Seahawks game, because they have no defense, their defense is terrible, and Russell Wilson has to be perfect in order for them to win football games. And he hasn't been quite as perfect as he was early in the season when they were sort of playing bad teams. If you can get anybody playing Seattle in a primetime game in Seattle, you need to take the points. Oh, if it's more than 3 points, take the points, because it's going to be a crazy game. It's going to get insane. Weird stuff is going to happen. It always happens in Seahawks games. And we can already see this line open at 4. It's been bet down to 3.5 at William Hill, and it's at +3.5 -115. So this is probably going to get to +3. If you can get anything more than 3, you definitely need to take it. I still like the Cardinals with the points. I don't mind sprinkling a little bit on the money line. And I agree with you. The over is the play here. This should be a shootout between two teams. We saw them put up plenty of points previously as well, but I'm on the Cardinals on the opposite side of you there. Titans at the Ravens. The Ravens are playing on Sunday Night Football in New England. They welcome Tennessee, your precious little Nashville boys, the Tennessee Titans, and the Ravens are -7 on the look-ahead line here. No total released yet, and obviously this is currently off the board because the Ravens are playing. If Lamar Jackson got hurt, they wouldn't want to have that liability. But assuming everything comes out okay, what do you think about this game?
Well, Brinson, they are my Titans. I've nailed 4 straight Titan games. Last Thursday, I said they would lose to the Colts. What they do? They lost to the Colts. But you know what? This number at 7 points, the Ravens being favored, this kind of blows my mind. I don't know that the odds makers have watched the Ravens, or the people who are gambling on the Ravens have watched the Ravens, or if you're just betting on what happened last season, because the Ravens haven't looked very good this season. They shouldn't be favored by 7 over any team that's somewhat good, and the Titans are somewhat good. You know what the Ravens don't do well? They don't stop the run. You know what the Titans are going to do this entire game? They're just going to feed Derrick Henry, just so like they did in that playoff game last season. Derrick Henry is probably going to rush for 150 yards. And the other thing I like is that, the Titans defense doesn't rush the passer too well, but Lamar Jackson, he can't sit back there and pick you apart like, say, a Phillip Rivers can. So I don't think the Ravens are going to be able to cover the 7 points. I like the Titans in this spot.
Yeah, I think 7 is a bit much for Baltimore. And my biggest concern with the Ravens is that I think Tennessee will be able to score some offensively. I just don't think they'll be able to completely shut them down. I don't know if they'll run all over them, but we did see early on with, in the first half, New England had some success running the football. We could see something similar from Tennessee with Derrick Henry. And Baltimore seems really hell-bent on letting Lamar Jackson throw instead of running the offense that worked last year. And I get that you want him to develop as a passer and you want to expand the offense and all of that. But I think they're still working out some kinks on offense, and that leads to maybe a little bit of clunkiness at times in terms of what they do from a production standpoint. So if I'm getting 7 points from a team with a good offense, even if their defense stinks, I'm going to take it because I feel like Tannehill and Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown can potentially come in the back door of this matchup. Moving on, the Packers at the Colts. The over-under in this game, 49. A surprising twist here as the Colts are favored by 1. I don't think people would have expected that a week ago. Green Bay actually struggled with Jacksonville in week 10. And as you point out, Indianapolis getting an extra 3 days rest after taking care of business against the Tennessee Titans.
Brinson, this has to be your favorite game of the week. This is Phillip Rivers' chance to take down the mighty Packers and beat Aaron Rodgers one-on-one. That is practically your fantasy. You'll probably show up next week with a Rivers jersey on if they win this game. Look, the Colts have one of the best defenses in the NFL, if not the best defense in the NFL. And the thing about the Packers, if you punch them in the mouth, they don't usually respond that well. We saw it against the Buccaneers earlier this season when Tampa stomped Green Bay and won 38-10. Aaron Rodgers just kind of starts to mail it in once they fall behind. And I feel like the Colts have the kind of defense that can do that to Rodgers and do that to the Packers. There aren't many defenses in the NFL that can. So even though I was surprised to see the Colts favored here, I like them. I think this will be a close game, but I think the Colts can win by 2, 3, or 4 points. So I'm going to take the Colts to cover that 1.
Yeah, I like the Colts in this spot as well, too. And I tend to lean towards that over. The only thing that would concern me is that if Green Bay does get down, they just stop trying. It's really weird. Like when you punch them in the mouth, as you point out, they just kind of quit. And I think this defense will give they'll give the Packers problems. I don't think Aaron Rodgers will light them up. I mean, he and Devontae Adams are going to have nice games. I think that Indy, though, will be able to more than keep pace, run the football effectively against the front of Green Bay and be able to put up some points. So I will take the Colts, and I'll pass on the total for now. Steelers minus 10.5 at the Jaguars. The Steelers are 9-0. The over under here, 46. Breech.
Yeah, the Steelers are 7-2 against the spread. And I think what we saw, the Steelers, they obviously crushed the Bengals on Sunday. We don't need to talk about that. But more importantly, 2 weeks ago, they barely beat the Cowboys. And I think that game was kind of a wake-up call, and it was one of those, all right, we can't let bad teams hang around, or they might actually pull off an upset. And I think that's what we saw with the Steelers and the Bengals, and that's what we're going to see with the Steelers and Jacksonville. Look, Joe Burrow, he is the number 1 overall pick, rookie quarterback, couldn't do anything against the Steelers defense. Now we have another rookie quarterback, a 6th round pick who has to play the Steelers defense. I don't see him doing much better than Joe Burrow did. So I think the Steelers are going to roll here and maybe win by 2, maybe 3 touchdowns.
This is too many points. The Steelers are now 9-0. They're going on the road. They're feeling confident. They know that they're the best team in football. They're feeling, and look, depending on what happens on Sunday night, we record this at halftime. If for some reason the Ravens lost to the Patriots and they were losing at halftime, the Steelers would feel very, very, very good about their chances to take down the AFC North. I could see them sort of slipping up a little bit, going to Jacksonville, letting their guard down. And 10.5 to me is just too big a spread. Jake Luton, man, this guy's come through he's managed to cover back-to-back weeks as a starter through the back door against Houston, but they took care of business against the Packers and nearly had an upset opportunity brewing. I don't feel great about it. I'm petrified of the Steelers, but I think that you can see the Jaguars kind of hang around for as bad as they are. The total, by the way, 46. I would lean towards the over in that spot because I think Jacksonville will let people score and will also put up some points on their own. The Chiefs, Sunday Night Football at the Raiders, favored by 5.5 in Las Vegas. The total here, again, 57 points, Breech. That is a ton of points, but the Chiefs and the Raiders are both explosive. Neither one has a truly elite defense by any stretch of the imagination. And this is a big revenge spot for the Chiefs, whose only loss this season came at the hands of Las Vegas and Derek Carr.
Brinson, I got a 5-word song for you. Andy Reid off the bye. Andy Reid off the bye. As we know, and as we talk about every single year, this is the 1 week where we hammer Andy Reid because it is the Chiefs coming off a bye. Andy Reid's 18-3 straight up in his coaching career off the bye. And I'll just say this. I've already said it multiple times. If Andy Reid is coaching in a game off a bye, I am betting on Andy Reid. I don't care what any other circumstances are. I don't care if he is coaching Jacksonville against the Chiefs. I don't care what is going on. And as you said, there's the revenge factor here. I do not think the Raiders are going to sweep the Chiefs. So I actually love Kansas City in this spot.
So you're not the only one. In fact, by the time that we recorded this, in between the time we got the spreads and we recorded this, the line jumped up to 7. So it's already moved a 1.5. The total down to 55. That leads you to believe that people think the Chiefs will come in, pound the football on Sunday night, feed Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and try to get out of there. Not get out of there with a win, but like to shorten the game and eat up clock. I like the Chiefs. Andy Reid off the bye. I mean, as you said it, you sung it. That's the answer. You don't fade Andy Reid off the bye. Andy Reid off the bye. You just don't do it. You ride with Andy Reid off the bye. 7 is a lot. I can see this certainly being a teaser. Like I can definitely see RJ White having this in his teaser of the week. And I do think that I would be interested in the total if it continued to drop a little bit, maybe take the over in the spot. 57 is a bit steep for my likings, but 55 I could at least dabble in. Rams at the Buccaneers on Monday Night Football. The Rams coming off a huge win over the Seahawks. The Buccaneers absolutely lashing the Panthers. And we get the Buccaneers -4 in this game, Breech, with a total of 49.
Brinson, I've got a fun fact for you. Sean McVay has never lost a regular season game to an NFC team in the Eastern time zone. He is 6-0 straight up and 6-0 against the spread. This game is in the Eastern time zone against an NFC team. Now, that being said, the key to beating the Rams is beating up Jared Goff, because you start putting pressure on him, you start sacking him, the whole offense just completely falls apart. And I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to sack and pressure Jared Goff. Now, I don't think this is going to be a blowout, because we're going to have 43-year-old Tom Brady running for his life from Aaron Donald. We saw Aaron Donald and that defensive front did to Russell Wilson. If they can do it to Russell Wilson, imagine what they can do to Brady. So I do think this will be relatively close. I'm not completely comfortable taking the Buccaneers favored by 4, but that's where I'm leaning right now.
So one thing to watch for this game is the status of interior lineman Ali Marpet, who has missed the last 2 weeks. When he's been out, Tom Brady has been severely pressured. The Panthers got to him. The Buccaneers just overpowered him eventually, and it just sort of wore down on him. I do think 4 and it's moved to 3.5 is probably a bit much. It's plus 3.5, minus 115. I could see this going to 3, and I wouldn't mind taking the Buccaneers at 3. I would probably lean towards the Rams, anything above 3, just because I think that you want to get that value. And I do agree it could be a close game. I don't think this will be a high score. I don't know. I mean, like the Rams are a good defense. Like they're a really good defense. They're just a good football team for the 3rd year in a row under Sean McVay. I would not want to be backing the Bucs, laying a big number and expecting them just to dominate the Rams, because I don't think that will happen. All right, those are the look ahead lines. For John Breech, I'm Will Brinson. Make sure to check out the podcast. We'll have our full Week 10 recap up in the feed soon. Talk to you guys later.